I'm struggling with tech as we start. My whatchamacallit, I have like a little stand. There we go. Hey, good morning, afternoon, evening. Welcome from wherever you are in the world. I am coming to you today from the Boogie Down Bronx, from my apartment. You have wandered into, or you know me, and so you know this is the Hot Angry Mom channel. I am the writer, creator, producer of Hot Angry Mom. Please subscribe to our channel and check out the series, which you can find here on our channel. Okay, so this is my third ever live, and clearly I'm a little less precious about it already because, again, no makeup, and I'm futzing with the equipment as I begin. I also feel less charged. I think the first live, I mostly wanted to cry for the entire 20 minutes that I was talking. And then last week, I spoke for like a whole hour and I felt really energized afterwards. However, I've been checking in with my friend Nora. Hey Nora, what's up? Thanks for watching the vids and giving me feedback. Nora is a director, and she is the person who suggested I start to go live to wake the channel up, to share my voice and stories. Initially, I thought I would just talk about filmmaking and the process of making Hot Angry Mom and some of the issues around motherhood and parenting that I feel deeply passionate about. And it's becoming whatever it is. So I'm gonna check in about my week. I have a topic each week, maybe an article or something I'm gonna read. Something that Nora suggested, or actually this was in the New York Post, maybe someone said to me. There was an article about people going live. It was from a very different group of people whose content would probably be very, very different than what I have to offer. But it should feel like a good hang. And that actually feels like weird pressure because do you really ever want to hang out with someone who just talks at you for an entire hour without it being a conversation? Also, it's made me think like, am I even fun to hang out with anymore? I have no idea. But this is still an experiment for me as an artist to show up, to not censor myself, and to use my voice in a time when it feels a little scary to use your voice. It feels like if you say something that people disagree with, it will be more than just people disagreeing with you. You could be canceled. You could lose friends, family. And you could, it's looking more and more like, lose some of your freedoms and some of your rights. And so it feels like a necessary thing to try to show up. Also, sorry, my attention was just drawn to the fact that this week I put a pillow behind my back because I'm sitting like close to the floor, and that's a game changer. I can sit back a little bit and be a bit more comfortable. So if you're watching this, I invite you to consider what might make you 2% more comfortable and to give that to yourself. Okay, so I guess I will start by reflecting on my week, which, it was a lot. I have done a lot in the past week. I work for BAM, the Brooklyn Academy of Music, and we had wonderful guests from the Alliance Theater all the way in Atlanta, Georgia, come up, and they did a show for 0 to 5-year-olds called Gimme Please. And we did 8 shows between last Tuesday and Sunday. And my job is literally to support that company. So we do pre-show workshops for the babies so they can acclimate to the space and to each other. And because they have this really cool policy, which is called a no shush zone, so that young people can express themselves physically and vocally and move about the space, because the show is literally tailored for them. And clearly, as you get older, you don't want to wonder about the space or talk throughout a play, but we're inviting young people in to experience the magic of theater. And what brought me so much joy from that was I got to meet a 1-month-old baby who sat in the audience with really big eyes and just took in the beautiful experience. The play has very little dialogue. It's mostly a violinist playing music and 2 actors who play gimmies, which are kind of like birds. And they have giant nests on stage made of all of this incredible paper. And they have these ways of interacting with the audience. And they tell a story of a big gimme and a little gimme, and the little gimme is born. And the little gimme follows and learns from the big gimme and wants essentially to get a gold pair of shoes, which have to be earned as the gimme grows and gets older. And so it was so delightful. Sometimes there were as many as 80 people in the audience, both parents and children. It was incredible to be in community with people from all over the world, people from different neighborhoods in New York. Some people who had never been to the theater before, some who had never been to BAM before, and getting to have this positive emotional experience as a community. So watching the little babies play and have a lot of joy. Just doing something communally. I feel like, even though I'm coming to you through social media and a platform, which can sort of connect us. Hi to my friend who's joined me. Thank you. And also thank you to the people who have been watching afterwards. That's very encouraging and I really do appreciate it. I think there's a way to make comments too, but I really can't tell you yet how that works. And I don't know if I'll be able to read them and respond, but you're welcome to try if you can figure that out. Again, for anyone new, this is only my 3rd live, so I'm figuring it out. I was talking about the joy of my week doing 8 shows at BAM for young children and just watching them get permission to play, to explore, to be together, to giggle, and just being with people during their first experience in theater. Theater is the thing that I love the most. And so that was incredibly heartwarming. I also saw some plays this week. I also work for a company called Lincoln Center, and I will be teaching some workshops around Floyd Collins, which is a musical that's now on Broadway through Lincoln Center. And I got to see the very first preview. I don't know all the tea, but I know that on Thursday I was supposed to see it and they had to push it to Friday. So sometimes that happens when you're making theater. You just need a little more time or technical things need adjusting. Sometimes you put it out in front of the audience while you're still in process. I mean, that's what previews actually are before you officially open. And I have to tell you, it's based on a true story. Floyd Collins out of Kentucky, about a person who about 100 years ago, so that would be 1925, got stuck in a cave, and word spread through a reporter, and people just came from all over, and it turned into this carnivalesque space with a person trapped underground. And there have been different stories throughout history, like of somebody stuck in a well, or the soccer team that was stuck in a cave, like things like that you've heard. And then communities sometimes galvanize. And I was like, how are they going to turn this into a musical? How are they going to activate this and put this on stage in front of us? And how am I going to help high school students in New York City care about a person stuck in a cave from 1925? In like a whole different culture and time period. But that's why we love theater, right? Because it invites us to use empathy, to literally imagine what it's like to be in someone's shoes, someone else's shoes, to imagine what they're experiencing, what they feel, what they understand. And the more we can do that, the more we expand our own capacity for our own humanity. And my personal belief is the closer we are to God, goddess, universe, whatever you believe. So I got to see that. And then I went to a film festival as well after working a 2-show day. A film that I'm in called When Everything Was Blue, about a 9/11 first responder and his family and how they're impacted by a 9/11 related disease. It's called When Everything Was Blue, and it's shot through the intimate lens of the home movies. It's a really beautiful short film, which is a proof of concept for a feature film. It was at the Garden State Film Festival in New Jersey, where the film was nominated for Best Ensemble, and Bryant Carroll was nominated for Best Actor. So congratulations to everyone involved. I went to that screening. It was so beautiful. It's amazing because I've seen it multiple times, and every time I see it, I'm moved by a new part of it, and it makes me cry. Surprise, surprise. Even though I know the ending, and I'm watching me and my pretend family. And I also saw another play. Oh yeah, I went to see Sumo at the Public Theater on Sunday night. Oh, it was the final show, which made it even more moving. Because you, as a fellow performer, I know what that's like to build a community. And like to go through the whole process. And right as you're getting to the end of the show, you're more in love with the people you're working with in the show than ever, most of the time. And there's this sort of sadness that you're about to let it go. And you can go into a bit of a depression after the show closes, like a big breakup. Anyway, so Sumo tells the story of sumo wrestlers, and so you get to learn a little bit about the culture and history, and then there's the particular stories of the men involved, and there's a beautiful love story in it. Yeah, it's incredible. There's actual wrestling on stage, and there's amazing projections. The design was like incredible. All that to say, I am exhausted and maybe just babbling a little bit more today, because that was just one week in my life. And I started a new gig this morning. I work for a company also. See, as an artist, lots of jobs for lots of people. I work for a company called Literature to Life, and what we do is we take great works of literature and we adapt them into solo performances for the stage, and we travel all over the country to theaters and schools and prisons, libraries, anywhere that will have us, and we have really exciting conversations about the literature. So today was teaching, started I Am Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter by Erica Sanchez in a high school in Manhattan, because the students are going to get to see a solo performance of this on Thursday of this week. Yeah. I'm just having a moment to breathe. Last week, I talked a little bit about the Arizona education officials who worked to make Mexican American studies or any kind of ethnic studies illegal in public schools. And it was written from the perspective of those people who created the studies and students who had benefited from it. And just thinking about schools, what we teach in schools, what we're censoring in schools, what we think is okay, the purpose of schools, even getting to have public education. And I, in the article of what I read, and if you have no idea what I'm talking about and you're interested, you can go back to episode 2 or live 2, I don't know, and listen to more about that article. But there was a documentary mention called Precious Knowledge, and I did watch that. It's not easy to find. You can get it on Canopy if your local library has access to Canopy. Manhattan does not, but a YouTube search helped me find, it was like a whole bunch of people got together on Zoom and they were having a conversation around Paulo Freire's book, but the second half of it was the documentary Precious Knowledge. So that was part of the title. And I sort of zoomed through it to see what I could find, and then I was able to watch it. And yeah, it's really compelling. If you have an hour and you're interested in, when people are saying like left-wing ideology is indoctrinating our students, I think it's a good documentary to watch and see, like, what is left-wing ideology, what's actually being taught in schools, because in this classroom what is being taught is advocating for a just world where everybody gets to be at the table. The politician who was trying to get rid of ethnic studies and Mexican American studies, which they did effectively do, he said that he marched in the civil rights movement, and that he believed in what Dr. King said, that we should be judged by the content of our character and not by how we look. And while many people will agree with that, what that individual seemed unable to process is that currently a lot of education is only teaching white history. And therefore you're erasing all of these other voices and all of these other people who have contributed to making America the country that it is in all of its greatness. So teaching about other cultures or other people's contribution is not lessening of America. It's not creating divisions. For a woman to learn about women's studies, it's really quite fascinating and empowering to realize what some women did even when they didn't have the right to vote or own property or have their own credit cards or have rights over their own bodies. The way that women learned, educated themselves, built communities. Like, to learn about those things makes me feel better about myself. It doesn't take away from anyone else. To learn, about the enslavement of an entire group of people in this country is important so that we don't repeat it, but also to learn about it from scholars that have gone in deeply, like the 1619 Project. That's a gift, right? That's actually a gift, another way to see part of history, because the United States of America was built off of the lives of enslaved people. And those people contributed, right? So often we just learn about the founding fathers who made contributions to this country, and we can learn about them and we can celebrate them, but also there was real hypocrisy in some of their behavior, right? And noticing that doesn't make them all bad and doesn't mean that we have to discredit them. But to completely eliminate another culture and community's contribution isn't actually the truth. It's not actually correct history. And that to me is divisive, right? Erasing whole groups of people, that is politicizing. That is so harmful. So in my classroom, at least this week, I'm teaching a book that's been banned in a lot of schools. Why has this book been banned? It's literally about a teenage girl trying to figure out who she is. She lives in Chicago with her parents, who are immigrants from Mexico. She's first generation. She's nerdy. She loves school. She wants to be a writer. I say she loves school, and that's only partially true. She doesn't love all of her classes. She doesn't love all of her teachers, but she loves to read and she loves to think. And she's just trying to find herself, right? In this story, her sister dies, and she's also processing grief. So for a young person to pick up this book, to be able to find themselves in the story, to be able to learn how someone else is processing grief, how someone else is fighting to figure out who she is. She does all the things, teenagers do, right? Like sneaks out past curfew, tries to figure out how to have more freedom, is questioning who is she in the world and how does she want to be. She's frustrated with her parents' cultural background that she finds like oppressive to her, right? Because she doesn't want to be like her mother. She doesn't understand why her mother wants her to have aspects of her heritage that she doesn't value. And so there's a bit of a journey where she gets to learn about her family, about her culture, and it just helps her to know herself better. There is also suicidal ideation in the book, and it talks about the value and power of therapy. And there's even some techniques in here. My residency is not mainly focused on that portion, but it's focused on identity. Like, who are you? How do you know who you are? Who do you want to be in the world? We look at the secrets that the characters are keeping. They get to watch the story unfold. They get to talk to an actress and figure out like, oh, what was your process like and what's interesting to you? And then they get to think about their dreams in the world and who they want to become and all the fears and things that are getting in the way of them pursuing those dreams. Like when people tell you to be realistic and what you have to do. So that's the kind of indoctrination going on in my classroom. Just space for young people to think and to talk and to be heard and to make art and to think about what they'd like to create in the world. To me, that sounds pretty amazing. And I'm not really sure what would be controversial about that or why it would be such a negative thing. But I know I said something last week about how so many things that I find to be so good and beautiful have been turned with a narrative turn into something bad or dangerous. And it's just ignorance, right? It's just not really listening. And what I will say though is it feels like on the internet that is the world feels very divided and angry and scary on the internet. But my experience in person with people has been that when you look at someone in the eyes and you're with them in person, even if you don't agree, even if there is tension, there is a humanity that is often perceived by all the people or many of the people in a space, and the possibility of connection. All right. So I said all those things. Oh, okay. I had something I wanted to read, which I know if anybody tunes in for the first 20 minutes, they're going to be like, I saw Jasmine Mooney's name, and what does any of this have to do with Jasmine Mooney? So Jasmine Mooney is an actress. And just so you know, I'm going to read an article. I have not fully read it. I caught the headline. I am peripherally aware of it. I reposted it on my own Facebook wall, but I'm going to read it now and just kind of respond to it. I had a really strong response that has to do with travel and our rights as American citizens or anyone anywhere on the planet to travel for the joy of travel. And I have feelings about that because of how much I love it, but let's see. Okay, so the headline that I'm reading to you is Canadian actor detained at U.S. border in inhumane conditions for nearly 2 weeks. And so here's the subtitle. Entrepreneur and actor Jasmine Mooney, who had a role in the American Pie sequel, says she was arrested at the southern border, held in detention over an incomplete work visa. And then she basically said, I'm the Canadian who was detained by ICE for 2 weeks. It felt like I had been kidnapped. I just want to name that the part of my interest in this article is that I'm also an actor who travels for work. Also, I think that there are incidents that are far more horrific and disturbing than the one that I'm going to read, and that's partially intentional. Because if someone with her visibility level who also looks like her, if she is being detained in inhumane conditions, just how far away are you from that? And maybe you're much farther away. I just find it concerning. I mean, also, I was thinking about that 12-year-old British young lady who is being held, 12 years old. And just how terrifying this is. All right, I'm trying to, my brain moves faster than my mouth sometimes. And so I feel a little incoherent. But I'm gonna go ahead and read it. And let me just, give a little credit. So this is from US News, and the article came out on Wednesday, March 19th. And Marina Dunbar is the person who wrote the article. So again, I'm just reading and responding to it. So a Canadian entrepreneur and actor in the American Pie movie franchise said she was detained for almost 2 weeks in inhumane conditions by U.S. border authorities over an incomplete visa. Jasmine Mooney, an actor who is also co-founder of the beverage brand Holy Water, was detained on the 3rd of March in San Diego, California. The 35-year-old Canadian citizen's work visa to the U.S. was reportedly revoked back in November while traveling from Vancouver to Los Angeles, and she was attempting to file a new application. So I just want to say, if you've ever made paperwork mistakes, like, this is a world where you're not allowed to make mistakes now. Like, mistakes can have you cause you to be detained and lose your freedom. So she was actually working to file a new application. Like, that's actually why she was there. This is her quote. She said, "Every single guard that sees me is like, 'What are you doing here? I don't understand. You're Canadian. How are you here?'" Which is part of the point, right? So she's a Canadian, and already she's being treated like she has some more humanity by guards who are also like, "We don't understand why you're here." And there really shouldn't be a hierarchy of humans. Like, some humans aren't more valuable than other humans, even if you make mistakes. Okay, so Mooney said in an interview with ABC 10 last week from the Arizona Immigration Detention Center where she was being held. Mooney told The Guardian that she had been traveling back and forth for work several times between Canada and California without issues. It wasn't until during one trip returning to the US that she was suddenly questioned by a Border Patrol agent and subsequently detained. According to Mooney, she was told that her visa hadn't been properly processed during a lengthy interrogation. An officer also claimed that she couldn't work for a company in the US that made the use of hemp one of the ingredients used in her holy water health tonic brand. Her mother, Alexis Eagles, who lives in British Columbia, says that Mooney was detained in San Ysidro. I'm sorry, I mispronounced that, I'm sure. Ysidro, DRO, border crossing between Mexico and San Diego, the busiest land border crossing in the world, on the 3rd of March with an incomplete application for a work visa. Eagles told the Vancouver Sun that instead of sending her daughter to Canada or advising her to fix her application, U.S. Customs and Border Protection officers arrested her. Mooney had not been charged with any crime and does not have a prior criminal record. So again, this isn't someone who's considered dangerous. This isn't someone who's considered a criminal. This is someone who they're saying, your paperwork is coming up wrong. And instead of being like, all right, go back home or here, fix it, this is what happens to her. She spent 3 nights in the detention center, and then she was transferred. We eventually learned that about 30 people, including Jasmine, were removed from their cells at 3 a.m. and transferred to the San Luis Detention Center in Arizona, Eagles has said. They are housed together in a single concrete cell with no natural light, fluorescent lights that are never turned off, no mats, no blankets, and limited bathroom facilities. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I go to the bathroom every 30 minutes of my life. So that would, essentially mean, that I would be in public going to the bathroom on myself or whatever, like that. It's so much worse than that, but like right away, I just think about, well, also, it hurts to stand up and sit down these days. I'm going through perimenopause. My back hurts all the time. So I can only imagine, like, you're sleep deprived. You're in pain. You probably feel humiliated. You're scared. You don't know what's going on. This is how the United States of America, the land of the free, that's what so many Americans like to believe. We're this beautiful country of free people, right? And we have this administration that's fighting for our rights, fighting for freedom. Oh, but she's Canadian, so she's not human. It doesn't matter. Like, all right. Every time Mooney was transferred, she was handcuffed and in chains, Eagles claimed. Mooney told ABC 10 that she was appalled by the conditions inside the private detention facility in San Luis where she was being kept. "I have never in my life seen anything so inhumane," she said. "I was put in a cell and I had to sleep on a mat with no blanket, no pillow, with an aluminum foil wrapped over my body like a dead body for 2.5 days. So remind you, it sounds like I'm contradicting myself, but she was in one place and then she got moved to the other place and the conditions changed slightly. She was given an aluminum foil to put over her, which I'm imagining, having run several marathons, sometimes at the end they give you that like a sheet of foil and you wrap it around yourself to keep yourself warm. And I'm guessing that's the blankets that they have made available. Mooney was profiled in BC Business Magazine in 2019 for her work in the hospitality industry. According to the profile, she moved from Yukon to Vancouver in 2008 to study at the British Columbia Institute of Technology. From there, she went to acting school before owning and operating a bar. She has said she had a 3-year US work visa, which her mother said was revoked as she attempted to travel back to Los Angeles, where she was living after a holiday in Canada. It was unclear why Mooney's earlier visa was revoked or why she was at the southern border this month. However, she told ABC she got her first visa at the San Ysidro border crossing on the advice of a Los Angeles attorney who met her at the border and therefore may have thought it would work a second time at that location. The Guardian contacted U.S. Customs and Border Protection for comment. Mooney was released over the weekend and landed at Vancouver International Airport shortly after midnight on Saturday morning. This is her quotes. I'm still, to be honest, really processing everything, Mooney told reporters who were waiting for her at the airport's international arrivals area. I haven't slept in a while and haven't eaten proper food in a while, so I'm just really going through the motions, she told CTV News. Thank you for all of your messages of support. I'm sorry if I haven't been able to respond to everyone. Just got home after what felt like escaping a deeply disturbing psychological experiment. She added in a post on her Instagram account. So what do you think? What have you been reading? What have you been hearing? What are you worried about? Is that justice? Is that the kind of America that we want to be? I mean, something that I'm afraid of for myself personally is I really love to travel. Some of the best peak experiences of my life have been the opportunity to go to other countries. I've been to the first time I ever left the US was in 1990, I think it was the summer of 1993. I went to Greece for 3 weeks on a study abroad program through my college. I went to the theater at Epidavros, the theater of Delphi. I was in Athens. I went to Mykonos, and my mind literally exploded, right? Like, I don't want to, I'll just embarrass myself, but the Greek alphabet was new information to me. I was like, I lived in such a small bubble in terms of growing up in Baltimore City, and not having had much travel experience and never having left the country, that I hadn't even really thought about like all the various languages. Even though I'd studied Spanish and a little bit of Latin in school, I literally didn't know there was a Greek alphabet. And then I started to be like, oh, right. So if you're Greek and you speak Greek, you dream in Greek. Like really basic things that I feel a little embarrassed to say, but I was 18. So, there we go. And then I studied abroad the following summer in Australia. I went to NIDA, the National Institute of Dramatic Arts, where I got to study on a film acting course. And I went scuba diving and whitewater rafting and rappelling and got my first tattoo and really had an incredible time. I studied at Shakespeare's Globe Theatre the following summer, both a directing and acting program, and then studied abroad at the University of Exeter in their drama school, where I stayed on and did a master's degree in applied drama. While I was there, I went to Spain because some of my roommates were studying abroad there, to Scotland, to Ireland. I ended up going to Amsterdam, where one of my college friends actually had grown up, so we stayed in his house. I did theater tours, so I traveled while I lived there. I went to Prague in the Czech Republic. Since then, so just getting that foundation of being able to study abroad and live in other countries, visit other countries, it just gave me a global perspective that people are people, humans are humans, that we may have different languages and we may have different religions and we may have different customs, but we all share a foundation of humanity. And it was so exciting to see how other people live and do things, because it provides more possibility for life. Like, what do I admire? How do I want to be in the world? It gives me more choices for my own humanity and expression. Um, I think also was a person growing up who spent so much time looking forward. I had a tough childhood, and so I dreamed about who I would become and where I would go. And I spent a lot of time dreaming forward. But when I was in other countries, I was so present in the moment, eating food, seeing colors, like going to new places, that my everyday life was the most exciting place to be in. And it used all of my senses, right? I wasn't in a habit, and I couldn't worry about the future because that was in another country at another time. And so I really wish every young person could travel all over the world. And the idea that we're going to ban people from being able to travel here, the idea that other countries are not going to be welcoming to Americans, right? Like right now, we had a lot of free, sort of a free pass to move throughout Europe without having to get special visas. Our passport has been welcome all over the world. So I've also been, since I've been an adult, to China and Italy and France and Germany and South Africa and Bali, Indonesia. And in Spain, I've gone to other parts of Spain. Like I had been in Madrid, but now I've also been up in Basque Country to Bilbao and down to Malaga on the Costa del Sol. I've been to Canada, Toronto, Montreal. I love Canadians. I love Canada. I love your artists. Yeah, there's so many places all over the world that I've been, and I want that for my son. Uh, I want him to have an adventurous life. I want it to be rich and fulfilling. And I'm really concerned about some of the policies right now and the way that they're going to impact our ability to see the world, to connect to the world. Yeah, so, all right, that was, hi, there's two friends here. I don't know if you can leave comments. This is only my third live, so I don't know if I can respond. I don't know if you have been commenting and I haven't been able to read it. I'm learning every single time I've gone, but feel free to like, to comment, to subscribe to the channel. I'm coming back every Tuesday with what I'm calling Truth Tuesdays. It's an experiment for me as an artist to show up and share what has been going on in my week, what I am working on as an artist, but also I'm pulling articles and reflecting on things that I feel strongly about, and sharing my point of view. Oh, wow. And with that, everyone left. Well, all right. It's an interesting experiment. Anyway, I do appreciate those of you who stayed for a while, and to those of you who will watch later, I'm going to go ahead and sign off today. But if there are things you'd like me to talk about, reflect on, look up, research, please let me know. All right. Happy Tuesday, and happy April Fools. Watch out today.